I make all my music on a program called Acid, made by Sony, and I use Acid and then a program called SoundForge, also made by Sony, and it's only running PC. So. Not many people use that program, but it can do nearly the same. Sometimes more, sometimes there's something that is a bit easier on some of the other platforms, and some things are easier in Acid. So for me, it is not so important actually what kind of program you use. It's much more about using your ears and just using what you got, because you can easily end up in always thinking about getting in the newest gear, and it's much more about making music. Actually, just for one week ago, changed from PC to Mac, and I'm also actually right now trying to move from Acid to Ableton Live, because it has some of the similar things, and it has so many cool features. You can automate everything, and it has actually some really cool effects plugins in it. So I think that I might switch over, but it is always hard to switch from one platform that you are really familiar with, and then switch to something totally new, especially if you are doing some work that has a deadline. And right now I'm doing a remix that has a deadline on Monday, so I really have to get into Ableton Live really quick. Yeah. For my album, I use real drums and bass and guitar, and I also have a lot of small toys at home, some glockenspiel and music boxes and small, like child toys actually that I assemble and cut up and use those sounds mostly for my album, because in my more techno tracks it is totally electronic, but when I did my album, I used a lot of different. No, it's actually in my bedroom. It's only a laptop, and of course I got my speakers and a big widescreen. What's it called? Widescreen thing. Monitor, and yeah, that's it actually, and then some hardware, just a micro cork, a small keyboard, and also compounder. What's it called? I cannot remember the name, but it's some kind of compressor thing. Yeah. Mostly it's an atmosphere or vibe. Actually, for my album, it was many of the tracks was done when I was a bit melancholic, and and my mood was not that good actually, because then sometimes you can go into some layers that are a bit more deep, and 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 actually I like to work with atmospheres and moods and melodies, and try to in a way explain something with the music without words. For this album, Last Resort, it is only it is without vocals, so I really needed the music to speak for itself. So there's no lyrics to tell people how to feel. Hopefully the music can do it itself. So yeah. It is always a hard thing for me. Some people can do a remix in 3 or 4 days, but I normally use 3 or 4 weeks. And I always look for good melody and a theme or something that is very special to this track. If it's not the vocals, then maybe a synth theme or something like that, a guitar playing, and then I actually tear down the whole track and try to build it up again with my own sounds and with a totally new groove. Sometimes I also change um, the melody and I don't know what's called the pitch in a way of it, and make some new chords and new bass lines and new drums and everything. All those things happen while I'm actually composing the track, so I always um, use a lot of time on every single sound, and I uh, and then of course when the whole track is done, I can go back and do some extra details, but normally it is a part of the whole process of making a track actually. Actually, haven't really started yet on the new album. I'm actually preparing for playing this album out live now. We have just got Glastonbury and Roskilde and some other festivals, and I will bring with me a band, a drummer and a bass and a guitar player, and Thomas on scratch, and me on keyboards, and then a lot of visuals. So it could nearly be as watching a movie when we're out playing live, because my album is also a bit like a soundtrack in a way to a non-existing movie. But I'm using a lot of time on doing some of the tracks in a new version for the live set. So that would really be cool, because I'm a bit tired of only playing nightclubs and playing it for drunk people. So all the time it's fine to do that thing, but I really would like to go out to play some venues where people actually are listening a little bit to the music. I use my laptop, but I'm not a big fan of playing live with a laptop. So also have my keyboards and Chaos Pad, and then I also play together with Thomas DJ TOM, and he's also having a laptop doing some stuff, and he's scratching, and he's an old hip hop DJ, so he has a lot of those techniques that we are trying to mix into the music. So I would actually rather have the keyboard and have the connection to the audience, instead of just looking at the laptop. Sometimes when I see laptop artists, I feel that they could maybe check their emails as because it sometimes really looks so boring when they play, because they're just staring at at their laptop. I really like to have this thing going on with me and Thomas and the crowd that we are playing for. We are playing for them. It's otherwise we could just sit in our home studio and play for ourselves. This kind of music has also a lot of good things, and this energy and thing going on. So I'm still enjoying playing at house and techno clubs, but I think where my heart is a bit more on making music without limits, because when you do a dance track, you have those 16, 24 bars in the beginning for the DJs with a beat, and then you should have a get down on a build up, and there are certain things that has to be there to work on the dance floor. You have the bass drum and all those things, and it is actually pretty hard to make a good track that also doesn't sound as all the other things out there. But still, for me, the most inspiring thing is to make music without thinking about this for the dance floor or whatever, just making music, and it was a much bigger pleasure for me to do the album, because I then had totally freedom, and we're not thinking about pleasing any dance floor, but just made music for my own pleasure only, actually. And then of course I'm happy and grateful that people actually buy this record, but yeah, it is just a bonus thing for me actually. This record was actually like therapy for me to do so. I listen to a lot of different, from classical to indie rock to jazz, whatever. But there are some, of course, there are some names that I really are inspired by. There's a band called Massey Star with Hope Sandoval on vocals. I'm their biggest fan, I think. So I'm really into their dreamy, melancholic vibe and style. I'm also a fan of the old UK band Smith with Morrissey, also like that, and The Cure, and all those stuff. But also, there's a guy doing electronic music who's called Murkoff, and he really does some really cool stuff. And then there's this whole new scene with the new Young Pony Club and Justice and all that stuff. It's also really something that tries to push the music to another thing, and it also has this rock attitude, and also like that in music that you have some roughness, because I think too much minimal is simply too boring in the long term. I think the most important thing is not to listen to what other DJs tell you to play, or not think too much about what is hype and what is in the radio right now. Just use your ears and make music without trying to sound as someone else, but trying to sound to find your own sound. And maybe some people should wait a bit before they release their stuff, and maybe just think about that there are so many people making electronic music, and most of them, also me, we are using the same programs. So often some of the electronic music sounds very similar, and it can be hard to find the person behind the music sometimes. I think so. It's really much about using your ears, and not, of course, listening to what other people tell you, but just make music from the heart, not make it because you want to earn money or be a famous DJ.